The senior ministry of the Alfred Street Baptist Church is proud to present This Is My Story. This series is presented in conjunction with our celebration of Black History Month. Our voices were often silenced, but now we have a chance to speak and paint our own portraits, reviving our oral tradition. By keeping the memory of our past, we claim the key to our future. So we invite you to join us in our journey as we document Black historical moments from some of our own here at the Alfred Street Baptist Church.
My name is Joe Nickens, and this is my story. I was born in a small town called Avalon, Virginia, which is about maybe a mile from Horsehead, Virginia. And if you haven't heard of Horsehead, Virginia, you really need to get out a little more often. My mother, my father, my siblings and I all lived with my paternal grandmother and grandfather. After working double shifts and triple shifts in the shipyard, my dad felt he had enough money to build a home, so we contracted with my grandfather, who was a house builder. He didn't charge anything, we just paid for the materials and the extra labor. It was probably the best Christmas we ever had because we all had our own individual rooms, and for Christmas we weren't expecting any gifts at all, but when we came downstairs Christmas morning, there were 3 chairs lined up along the hallway, and each chair had an apple, an orange, a handful of candy, and a handful of nuts. And that was a perfect Christmas for us because we hadn't expected anything. I happened to be the valedictorian of my class. There were 38 students in my senior class. As seniors in high school, that we had to take home economics. Well, the boys didn't seem to like that too much because they didn't like the idea of cooking and cleaning and flower arrangement. In order to graduate on time, you have to take it. So we decided unanimously to take home economics. And it turned out to be one of the best courses that I took in school, because when I got to school, I had 2 jobs. I worked in the administrative office, delivering mail to the dormitories, which had benefits, especially the girl dormitories. And I also did some sewing. I rented a sewing machine, and at that time the boys liked to wear tight leg pants. So they would drop their pants off at my door. When I came from class, I'd get them, turn them inside out, sew up one leg, down the other, put a seam back in it, and got $1 for that. So I walked around the campus most times with a knot in my pocket, had a roll of $1 bills, so I was never broke, always had money in my pocket. My French teacher had gone to Virginia Union. My librarian had gone to Virginia State, and they used to argue back and forth as to what school I was going to, and I hadn't decided to go to any school at all. So not to offend either one of the faculty members, I talked to my cousin about it, and she said, well, just tell me you're going to Hampton. And I said, where's Hampton? She said, don't worry about it, I'll show you where it is. So when they asked me again what school I was going to, I said, I'm going to Hampton. They said, oh, you're going to Hampton? I said, yes, ma'am. At the end of my sophomore year, the tuition went up to $900 per year. I called my mother and told her about it. She said, well, we won't tell Dad about it because he'll go through the roof. But it was all relative to $900 then was as much as $25,000 or $30,000 today. The first discrimination I saw at all was when I got to Hampton. My roommate and I got in my car to get some food one night, and we were called names, the N-word, by some white kids. And we rolled out of the car to deal with it, and having been architect majors, both of us, our math was pretty good. We realized that 2 against 6 was bad odds, so we got back in the car. And this guy came by and kicked the side of my car and put a dent in the door. So we drove back to the campus to get reinforcements. One of the guys spoke up and said, let's call my uncle, who's a lawyer. So he came over and talked to us and said, look, let me take it pro bono. We gave him the license number of the car that the guys were driving. he got to the bottom of it, and the lawyers decided to settle out of court $600. $600 is more than I made all year. So we settled out of court. At the end of my sophomore year at Hampton, I met my now wife. We ended up with 3 kids, 1 boy and 2 girls, 4 grandsons, and the love of my life is my wife. I majored in architecture, stayed the 5 years. Along with it, I took the basic course of ROTC because it was mandatory. The war in Vietnam was going on at that time, and in order to prevent yourself from being drafted after 4 years of college, you should take the advanced course, and they'll give you an extra year to finish your degree. I was 29, I guess, when I got to Vietnam. Most of the soldiers were, 18 and 20. Had been there maybe 6 months and came on a major mortar attack, but I was struck in the hip with mortar shrapnel and didn't realize until the attack was over. And I went to the dispensary. They took the shrapnel out, what they could get out, and sent me back to work, sewed me up. And a week or so later, I got orders down. I had a Purple Heart. After staying in the Army 30 plus years, I retired in 1993 with the rank of colonel. Having been out of the military for less than 6 months, I pulled the uniforms out, went back to work. I had 16 high schools that had the junior ROTC program, and my job was to keep the program alive and well, hire instructors to teach at each of the 16 schools. For 12 years, I did that. One of the most rewarding jobs I've ever had. At Phelps, one of the instructors came to me one day and said, "We need some help. We need some cadets to get into this program that we have. We're going to build an electric car." I said, "An electric car?" I said, "Yep." An insurance company had given them an old Volkswagen car, and those kids and the instructors built an electric car, not knowing that eventually, and in this lifetime, that we see an electric car that go up to 160 miles an hour. So we're quite proud to have been involved in some aspect of the electric car coming about. If I had to give some advice to young folks, and I do quite often, I tell them that you have only one life to live, and live it to the fullest. You should plan as though you're going to live forever, but live as though you might die any minute. And remember that the choices that you make, or the decisions that you make in life, you'll either reap the benefits or suffer the consequences. So think about big choices that you have and the options that you make, because it'll stay with you forever. So make good choices, and you'll suffer the consequences or reap the benefits of that decision you made.